All right, all right. Welcome to the SuperCoach experience. It is your boy Tim Moody. I'm going to be the host for today's show. Maxie's in England. I believe he's meeting the Queen or something like that. Something very formal and royal. However, myself and a very special guest tonight will take you through the round that was. Round 18. It's done and dusted. It was a pretty wild round. I guess it's a story of two different tales for the people who were on the Manu captain and or people that were on the other side of the stick, I guess you could say, and having Captain Pappy, who seems to have gone for the season, hadn't cracked his knee. So he's got a fracture there. It's terrible news. It's going to open up Supercoach massively. But to help us get through all of this is our boy, Brad Huxley, 11th place from 2022. So was sniffing at my heels, and this year killing it in the top 500. Brad, how's it going?
Yeah, good mate, good mate. I'll tell you what though, Timmy, I'd be happy to be 11th place this year in 2022. That'd be nice. I was chasing on your heels last year, but might be back to back for you this year. So look, I'll be happy to finish 11th again. That'd be handy enough.
Yeah,
if I get to watch you go
chase your tracksuit, brother.
Enough.
Chase your tracksuit.
It'd be good.
Yeah, nice. So how'd you score this week, man? Just got to start off with how you went this week to start.
Looks like I'm sitting on 14-11 this week before the end of the updates. Nice. So not too bad. Nice. I mean, it
sounds like you had a bit of Manu.
But, yeah, VC Manu. That was handy enough. Yourself?
Yeah, VC'd him as well. I don't even think he was in my factors to do it all week. I had my eyes pretty rock solid on Mitch Moses and was kind of tinkering with the idea of going Dylan Brown. And then it was just kind of close to the para game, and I was like, just didn't get a feel that it was going to be massive for some reason. I don't know what. Yeah, so I just let it go, and then I thought, maybe I'll look for a VC later in the round. I was even thinking maybe like a Panthers game. Then it just sort of, I was like, hold on. Why don't I give Manu a whirl? If he's going to, maybe Teddy will have lesser involvement, especially being that he had a blinder of a game for the Blues in a loss, however. But, yeah, look, Manu went off like a frog in a sock. And for those who had him and those who captained him, it made for a big round.
It was a big round, yeah. And I guess the cautionary tale for everyone out there is if Manu's playing any other position but centre and he's playing early on in the round, just get him in your VC or C. Like if you have a solid VC early, like if there was a Pappy, say on the Thursday night or something like that, Manu in any other position but centre is absolute Supercoach gold.
It's interesting.
5'8", doesn't matter. Like, because what's his past couple of scores out of 5'8" have been like 90 and 80 odd. So, and then the 190 on the weekend, a couple of tries. So he's been likely to crack the line a few times. He doesn't like to pass in 5'8", but or fullback. But
which he actually moved to the centres for a bit there as well with some injuries.
Yeah, back end of the game.
Yeah, and still managed to keep on firing. So yeah. One thing he sort of said after the game and something he said before is regardless to where he plays, he likes to play his game and his style of footy. So, yeah, he's a great guy to have in your side.
And I think the Roosters probably identified, especially after that Kiwi game and probably a few games beforehand, they're going to need to give him a bit more ball. So I like him for the rest of the season. Anyone that doesn't have him at this stage, it's a hefty price tag. But I think because the Roosters are chasing points, I think he's going to have his hands on the ball a hell of a lot for the rest of the season. So,
yeah, it's an interesting one. It could be one for people to target with Pappenhausen going down. With Pappenhausen going down for what looks to be, I'd imagine, be a season-long injury, unless they're going to glue that back together or something like his Humpty Dumpty. I'm not too sure. By the images I've seen, it looks like a pretty nasty crack. Yeah, I'm not too sure if they're official images, but yeah, no good for him. He's a great player for NRL, great player for Supercoach. It's really disappointing to have a player like him and also Tommy Trbojevic not in the mix.
Turbo. Would you bring him in at fullback though for those people that don't have him, or would you try in centers?
I'd probably put him in the centres just because you can then target other options in the the fullback and 5'8" sort of roles, and then you get more guns. That way you can squish him into the centres with a bunch of others. It's probably the best way to go about it. But if the only way for you to do
100%.
it was to be a straight swap because you don't have that dual flexibility, you could probably just do that too.
Yeah, I mean, especially for next round, I think they've got not Newcastle. They've got Newcastle, I think, next round. So pretty handy
So
anyway.
yeah, their
Not
draw
getting
is the Knights, Manly, Broncos. The Knights is a good game. Manly, Broncos kind of could be a sort of
bit
kind of
iffy.
tougher ones. Then the Cowboys, which is a legitimately tough game. The Tigers, Storm, and the Bunny. So it's not an amazing draw. There's only a couple of awesome games there, which you'd say like maybe the Tigers and the Knights game. But the good thing about Manu is I think he just sort of likes to be involved in everything. So doesn't matter really who he's playing, he'll still score reasonably well. Let's move on to the week that was. So we opened the week with the Cowboys and the Sharks Friday night. Interesting game. There was some people that sort of got sucked into an early VC on this one, just because there weren't a great amount of earlier options. I don't think, other than Manu, to be fair. But yeah, so. Look, we had Ramian kill it again, which is quite annoying because he's been on fire the last 2 weeks. Had the foresight to be able to bring him in. I brought him in about this time last year for those buys, but didn't think he was performing as well. And then out of nowhere comes out, whacks out, like I think it was a double last week, maybe even a triple, and a double this week. So crazy. Hines on 80, not too shabby. Luciano Leilua, 82. Pretty decent score there as well. I think he's a pretty cheap price, but has a tough draw coming up as well. So I don't know what sort of role he'll play.
Oh, sorry. The Cowboys are pretty indifferent as their run coming up. So we've got the West Tigers, then the St. George, and then we're facing the Bulldogs, then the Chooks, chasing points. Obviously, the Chooks would be a tough game, and then the Warriors, and then the Rabbits, which, while the Rabbits can put on points, as we've seen as tonight's game, they can certainly concede points. And then the Panthers' final game, but that will be out of the head-to-head region. So the head-to-head final should finish in round 24. So it's the overall, I guess you'd then be looking for Lucci, but you should have some depth, I guess, in the second row. And Lucci at 395. And he had a big even this week of 81.
About 80. So yeah, just hold his value.
He'll hold his value. But yeah, the only cautionary tale I'd say of that was Nanai wasn't playing that game. So he'll come back into the edge. And I presume that Lucci will probably play the Hillam Lukey type role where he's coming off the bench playing about 50 minutes a game and roll through the middle and that sort of stuff with Tom Gilbert. So yeah, just keep an eye on that for anyone looking to bring him in. But he could be a nice pod if he gets a starting 80-minute role.
Other than that, I guess in this game, other sort of super coach relevant players, we've got Tom Malo with a 56. It's a bit underwhelming. I don't think his minutes were fantastic. From memory, it was only the earliest game of the round, so I'm pretty hazy on my memory of that game compared to some of the others. But Drinkwater at 41, kind of to be expected, I guess. The Sharks are a really good defensive side. So are the Cowboys, so I thought it would be a pretty tight game. I thought the Sharks were really impressive to have, really to have got them at home as well. At the Cowboys' home, that is. Other than that, I guess there's not a great deal of other Supercoach relevant players, except for Mulatalo, who wasn't able to cross the line for us and gets a pretty average score of 33, which hurts to start the round with a low score like that for owners. McInnes, 54, not too shabby. Kennedy for the few owners like our boy Savs, 55. Can't complain with that. But yeah, let's move on to the next game.
Just quickly on that one. So Reece Robson played the 80 minutes in that one. But so what people need to be aware of, so I don't mind him having as the second hooker. But so people need to be aware of his last couple of 70 scores. They've been including a try each week. And then also as well, even with a couple of forwards out, Lolo only played the 56 minutes on the weekend. So just be aware of that going forward. So he's probably, so if you're going to sell either a Max King or a Lolo, even with Cotter and stuff out, Lolo's still getting reduced minutes. And I presume since we've got second spot pretty much like all top four locked up anyway, the Cowboys won't really waste the juice on Lolo for the rest of the season. So if you're going to sell one, I'd sell Lolo over a Max King.
While we are on the topic, I will bring up that Lolo try. On the topic of Lolo, that is. I don't know if you remember that. I feel like that was a try. I don't know if I had ownership goggles on and being a bit biased, but for me, I like to call it pretty straight.
I support the Cowboys, so that's a try every day of the week, and probably with 8 points, I'd probably a penalty try even at this point.
Yeah, how do you score that? I mean, he would have had to score more closer to like 85 or something like that, which would have been fantastic, but not to be this week. Next game of the round, we have Parramatta playing the Warriors. I thought this game, the Eels might have had a bit more dominance, but it seemed like, the Warriors were quite up for it for a fair bit of the game. Papali'i doing his thing as usual, scored an 82. Reed Marnie, who I've got in the Villy Army, sort of plugged in for a temporary role, has done a 77. He's got his only decent score. I started with him in the year. I brought him back. It's the only score I've really been happy with out of him. So good boy, Reed. 70 for Brown. He updated, which is pretty nice. And also Moses updated to 65. Sevo on a 67. The Sevo champ was, pretty strong. It was going around the stadium. The big boy cross for one. Other than that, I mean, Toru Harris scored 96 points. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know how he does it, how he scores so many without being that impressive on eye test. He just sort of does that and goes under the radar. But yeah, I don't have him. I'm sure he's probably a bit of a pod at the moment too. Don't think he's too attractive to buy though.
I wouldn't buy him. He's sitting in 3% of teams. So yeah, nice little pod. And what did he have in points on that? He had, sorry, mate, 2 seconds. So he had the try assist, the 41 tackles, 2 in the tackle bus, the 1 line break, 24 in hit ups, and just other business. So
it adds up. Yeah, he accumulates. Good on him.
He does, but still, so when I'm looking at those sort of stats there, while he did have the line break, and majority of his sort of hit up tackles were over the thing, he still looks like he is a little bit hampered. So I wouldn't, like off the ACL and everything like that, I wouldn't quite just bring him in just yet. He still doesn't look as explosive, but yeah, maybe that's just my own.
The Warrior by all definition. Even when he's beat up, he still goes well. But yeah, you'd probably look for, I guess, someone that's a bit fitter and maybe with a bit more upside at this time of the year. It was. I was pretty tempted by the VC, as I mentioned earlier in this game. So it was nice to not have got sucked into it. So I did generally think that the Para guys would have scored a bit better, particularly the halves.
How have you seen Josh Curran's return? I know he's been quite talked about sort of person coming back and a nice pod forward at a cheap enough price. He scored 49 on the weekend. How have you seen his return? And would you look at him in the back end, or are you looking for a little bit more higher upside in, say, someone like a David Fifita if someone doesn't have him, or a Cam Murray next week? Or
who was the person? Sorry, I got a little distracted because I was looking at Joshy. Oh, that's right.
Josh Curran.
Josh
Curran. Yeah,
that's right. Josh Curran, I think he's just on the eye test. He hasn't been sort of like as involved or sort of like last year. He really seemed to be like offloading and be really getting his hands on the ball close to the line and stuff. He's just playing a different role. He seems reasonably consistent, but yeah, it's not someone that I thought he would be more relevant this year after last year's SuperCoach season. Still playing good footy, but yeah, I just think maybe not as, and that could be put down to the Warriors not going so great as well.
Well, 100%. But this as well, 'cause I know there'll be like there was a few questions throughout the week, and I've seen over the past couple of weeks since he's returned, picking him up at that sort of cheaper price and whatever. And since you're in the position that you're in, sitting in the going back to back. I was going to say sitting in wherever, but sitting first by the end of when we're finished here this year, going back to back. So that's someone you're not chasing this year?
Who, Curran?
Yeah. I just more mean like for other people, like just trying to assess the sort of
not even
you're
on my
bring
radar at all.
Yeah,
not on the radar at all.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm just trying to eke out for some other
Nut
people.
out.
Is basically.
We've got quite a few questions coming through as well. We will get to them towards the back end, but we'll try to push through all the games so it's not too all over the place. It is only my first go hosting the SuperCoach Experience podcast. So let's Curran not for me, but still a decent footy player, still a decent SuperCoach option to keep an eye on, maybe have a look at him for next year, but not feeling him this year. Next game of the round, a whopper. It was the Roosters versus the Dragons. This one can be usually tight and a bit lower scoring. Usually it's a bit tighter on the Anzac match game when they match up, but I guess the hot topic of this one is Joey Manu with a massive 191. You were on him?
Yeah, I had him as VC. He just in the gut all week. Joey Manu playing 5'8". Any other position apart from 5'8". Oh, sorry, center. 5'8" fullback. Joey Manu always looks appealing to me, especially when he's coming against Dragons and Ben Hunt backing up after a pretty big game, and also I'm sure he probably celebrated pretty hard too. That nice breakaway try. Breaking the hearts of all of us, but.
Benny Hunt only on 69 in SuperCoach points, but the actual NRL footy he's playing at the moment is out of this world. Like he next level in State of Origin, backing it up with a 40-20 in club footy, and also I think he backed it up with a try himself as well. Pretty ridiculous sort of stuff. It was a great game. Obviously, there was a lot of tries, which means a lot of points. Manu, I believe, scored 2 tries, set 2 up, had a bazillion tackle busts and line breaks, and was just in everything. Sammy Walker really killed it as well with 138. He's not very popularly owned, thank God, because that could have really been a hit to a lot of people if he was popularly owned. But Teddy, 99. Pretty decent, solid score for backing up. I guess he's someone that for a lot of people have sold him out over the Origin period. Is he someone to replace Pappenhausen? Or do we get a little bit more creative and look at some other options in 5'8" and stuff like that? There's Hines. For me, I've got so many people I could bring back. I've got Hines. I've got Teddy.
So Teddy to me is going to be the interesting one because Pappenhausen and Latrell Mitchell at fullback, and then I've got Jerome Hughes and so Jerome Hughes has scored, didn't look tonight, but I guarantee if he had a whole lot of that ball for two more fucking setups, he was in for a hattie, and he would have been 150. Look, it is what it is. You take these pods as they are. So that'll be the interesting question. Do I take James Tedesco, Nico Hine in this back end because I still Mitchell and the way he's looking? So I guess this is one of the things that's gonna pop up. Or do I take them both? Do I take?
I do Hines like Teddy because obviously he's got that
Tedesco.
high involvement as well. I think that's someone that he should be pretty much. Yeah, probably the main target. I mean, if you don't own Hines, I could say it's a bit of a coin flip between those two, especially with Hines being the main dog at the Sharks and also having kicking. But big decisions for me coming up in the week. But there's a lot of other big scores there. Momirovski with a 96, which is a bit surprising. I think he set one up, scored one. Crichton 74, pretty decent.
Well, that's the one. That's the one that I was. Momirovski. That's the one that I was speaking to you guys when we did that preseason one, and I was saying, Momirovski kicking goals, playing center for the Roosters. Ooh, plenty of points.
And it didn't turn out to be as what you had predicted, but could have been a massive thing had he had a bigger role for the Roosters this year. So over on the other 100%. Side, we've got Lomax for an 85. Pretty decent score there. Happy with that. Cody Ramsey, he played really good, man. There was that cheeky little Cody Ramsey run. It sort of had Pappenhausen sort of style about it, just like a really awkward run, but in a Cody Ramsey style. Yeah, and sort of just shot through. Loved it. He was just in everything as well. So I think he's really surprising a lot of people at fullback, and obviously keeping that Sloan fella out, doing a great job there. And it's good to have a bit of competition and have some options for them to toss up between. But Ramsey looks like he's the man at the moment for them. Can keep that up. Not a great deal amount of SuperCoach. Yeah, definitely a handy player.
So plenty of people sold Gus Crichton. Plenty of people sold him throughout the week. You an owner?
Yeah, I don't know him. No, I sold him quite a while ago, actually. I think I can't remember who it was for, but yeah, I had sort of just got rid of him. Bit reluctantly, but you can't have them all. You know what I mean? It's not like Pokemon. I say many times you can't catch them all. You've
yeah. But like after looking at his performance, and what I was trying to tell some people throughout the week was Gus Crichton, when the Roosters are chasing points throughout the back end of the year, he will get the odd try, assist, try, that sort of stuff coming up to the back end of the year. So probably not. I think it was number 5 sold or whatever last week. So hopefully people steered away from that, but is what it is.
Yeah, it's an interesting player. I've just got someone commenting one of my cash comps. It's a $500 tragic cash comp. Vote to ban Tim next year from the cash comp. Good comment. I enjoy that. Thank you.
I suppose you won't mind that once you get back to back.
Yeah, that's all right. Look, maybe if I go back to back, I think I might forego a bit of my cash comps, especially if I get to keep the money this time, right? Okay, so moving on. Let's get to the next game. Not a great deal of SuperCoach relevance in the rest of the
Manly
the Dragons. Yeah. So what have we got here? I'm trying to bring her up. I sort of went out.
Ruben Garrick, 122. Ruben Garrick, 122. Jason Saba, 21. Daly Cherry Evans, 111. Old DCE coming for the back half of the year. Jerome Hughes might go to him just quickly and quietly. Not saying much, but anyway, is what it is. Andrew Davey, the young son, staying out of injury, 85. Good on the chap. Cooler. Anyone that hasn't sold him, well done. A couple of back-to-back big scores out of him. He's got 83. Hamole Olakwatu just getting the job done, just doing the damn thing. 82. Another try scored from him. Good game. Dylan Walker off the bench, 77. Callum Ponga on the other side, the only player really of note. I mean, Clemmer with the 65. But yeah, apart from that, not really too much relevancy.
Some massive scores for the Manly players, though. Massive. Yeah. So yeah, DCE's obviously on a lot of people's
really
lips at the
like
moment.
100%. And I think both of us remember fond back in DCE is the second half. Everyone else having Jerome Hughes, and I'm pretty sure Jerome Hughes will be vacated the back end of this year for one Daly Cherry Evans.
Yeah, obviously the DCE was a massive factor in, I think, me winning last year. It was a pretty big pod for me in the back end of this season. I haven't had my eyes on him too much this year. I think maybe the fact that there is no Turbo in the side gives me a little bit less hope in Manly being dominant in games and allowing them to have good ball and stuff. But I think I've sort of not put enough faith in the rest of the Manly side. And obviously, on the flip side of that, with no Turbo DCE is obviously going to be touching the ball probably a lot more than he normally would anyway, which is already a lot. So, yeah, with that score of 111, he's definitely raising eyebrows and one to keep an eye on. Let's have a look at his price, 587 at a break even of 8. So he's going to jump up a fair bit in price this week, which is a bit annoying. So anyone who got him this week and did get on that
around
early,
that,
well done.
That sort of 650 range, I guess.
Yeah,
so if anyone has Pappenhausen and has a Nico Hines, a bad shout to, because I'll just bring up their run here. They'll be taking on. So next week they've got the Newcastle Knights, they've got the Dragons, then the Roosters, then Para pretty patchy, but and then the Gold Coast Raiders and the Bulldogs. So pretty good run.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of tough decisions to make. I just really think this Pappenhausen thing's opened it up big time. I don't know whether I like it or whether I don't like it yet. I haven't really had a chance to assess whether it's good for my overall chances of bad, whether it means, because there's so many more options, there's a lot more variance and a lot more variables as well. So, it's about trying to nail that right guy. There's probably 3 out of the 6 options that'll probably all kill it, and it doesn't matter which of those 3 you went. But, I think there'll probably be some that stand out a bit more than others, and it'll just be about trying to probably focus mostly on draw, I guess. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to really try. I haven't really had a chance to. Go ahead.
Timmy, I was just thinking as well, just there's a handful of teams at the moment, I don't mind. And one of the reasons I think that I might switch from Jerome Hughes to a DCE, and then plug in most likely a Tedesco at the fullback role rather than a Nico Hines. I know Nico's got that massive, amazing draw at the back end. And while I still like Latrell Mitchell, is all these teams there, they're all chasing in the top 8, and they're all in that contested bottleneck at the bottom end, and all these big boys are going to step up for the back end to get their teams in the finals. They're all a bit to get paid the big dollars. They're the ones that need the work, and they're the ones that have been standing up lately when their team needs it. So I'm sort of half leaning towards that direction. So I really like that this thing is opened up without a Ryan Pappenhausen at the back, because also you got players like Cam Munster that like to step up nicely when that sort of happens. But Cody Walker's been going really well. And Dylan Brown's gone quite well. And the whole it opens all the halfback back all open.
So many options. It's crazy.
It gives you headaches and nightmares. It gets me excited.
Yeah, it's giving me headaches already. I'm not going to try to think about it. I'm going to have my Monday day off tomorrow and reset on Tuesday and go from there. Yeah, there's a lot to sort of wash away. It's a pretty big stress sort of with the Pappenhausen thing. I mean, for people who did captain him, that's a huge blow at this time of the year. Especially when there was such a big captain in Manu, who seems to be very, very popular. Yeah, someone told me a stat that only about 4% VC'd him and 4% captained him, but it seems like nearly every second man and his dog's got their captain or VC on Manu from what I'm looking at in a lot of my leagues.
Yeah, I think it might just be the leagues that we're in, I think, Timmy. Because I was looking at just like one of the public leagues or whatever that I was in. And yeah, I think it's just some of the couple of leagues that we're in. There's a fair few.
A few people maybe copying each other, maybe, who knows, or maybe just a few people channeling the same idea. Yeah, it's cool. I didn't really hear him being talked about much this week either.
Well, I'm pretty sure Savs from the SuperCoach experience show.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to catch this week's SuperCoach experience, so yeah, I didn't.
He was spruiking it, and that Joey Manu would go 100 plus, so he's definitely that as a bold call.
Yeah, good work to Savs. He's killing it at the moment. Still currently 77th going into this round. massive score of 1,404. So doing it for the experience. Mikey also had a pretty big week as well. I think he let's bring him up while we've gone on the topic of the boys. Mikey scored a whopping 14-16. Jake was one of those unlucky fellas who were on the Pappy, so his score was hindered to a 12-46, but still not a terrible result. There's plenty of time to make that up. Let's move on to the next games. I can talk too much. We could be going to midnight, so let's press on. Where are we? Next game of the round.
Broncos, Titans.
Broncos, Titans. Popular person, I guess, of the round. Seemed like everyone I knew was buying David Fafita. I fell, I wouldn't say fell for it, but I got sucked into getting him as well when it wasn't in my plans. I wasn't going to trade this week. It's just the amount of people that were sort of in the mix and had a decent side, and super coaches that I respect were on him. So I was like, if I miss this one and he does pump out one of those 150s, it could be very, very painful. So I thought I might just have to do it. 75 after updates, I'm happy with. The 50, I was felt like it was a failed move for the week, but 75 I'll take. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't a massive scoring game. It was 12-16, so there's not a great deal of massive scores. I think when Zach Hosking, the
and the people,
second game,
people up the top,
highest scorer.
Yeah, the people up the top of the of the point scoring. The people up the top of the point scoring. When Mo Fotts and Aaron Clark top scores a game, I don't think we really have a great deal to go through tonight. I mean, the holders of Ezra Mam, how did he score? 47. So might be looking to maybe turn him on. And then upcoming
Stag's a bit red and hot and cold. He wasn't too bad this weekend with a 47, but there's a lot more he's capable of, obviously, as well.
Better than 10. Better than 10.
How good was Aaron Clark? Did you enjoy his game? Did you see him go around? He was sort of tackle busting everywhere. He's filled in at lock this week, I believe, and did a really good job of it too.
I can hot tier. This is not games that I watched this week. Expected the Broncos to do a demolition job, and this was one of the games that I just didn't really pay too much attention to. Plenty going on in and around the traps, but this wasn't one of the ones I paid too much attention to.
Oh, he was on fire, man. Yeah, he was on fire. He was just touching the ball all the time. Yeah, very cheap. I don't know that he would be someone that you'd really consider. I mean, you'd want to see it a bit more consistently. But yeah, he's got it in him.
You'd want to have a large
shout
sack.
Out to him. He's done well. Did you say he's got a large sack?
You'd want to have a large sack. No, you'd want a large to go pick Aaron Clark. When you got
I get what you mean. Yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, now on to the next game. There wasn't too much going on.
I mean, I haven't really inspected Aaron Clark.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's daxed him. I mean, Teddy's the only one that seems to lose his pants nearly every time he plays footy.
He's all right. That drawstring.
Yeah, that's it. All right, so let's move on to the Tigers.
That's the next one. Penrith.
Yeah.
18.
We'll take it.
Had this one as a resident Penrith.
I thought we'll probably would have beat them a little 100%. Easier. I thought it would have been somewhat tightish to an extent. I thought it would have been higher scoring, to be honest, on both ends. So the game was a bit of a shock to me in a lot of regards, but happy for the Panthers to get the job done with obviously all our 7 Origin players being rested. Kick out my boy, turning up. Absolutely stoked with that. He loves a bit of a charge downy or some sort of deflection tries involved in a lot of those, it seems. Targo's done well with 81, who's quite popular still. Taylor May, bit of a letdown, only 33, didn't cross the line. Seemed to be a bit busier than that for me. I thought he was, taking quite a fair few hit-ups and sort of made a few tackle busts and stuff as well, but I don't really pay a great deal of attention to the scoring and tick off everything that's going on as it happens. But for me, I felt like a bigger than 33, but we'll take what we get, I guess. Pole 32 is a popular purchase. Do you have Pole?
No, I didn't end up grabbing him. Got Jed Cartwright as my little cheapie last week, just the flexibility.
Cheapie,
yeah.
Nice. Yeah, there's a few little.
But he looks to be solid enough. Polo looks solid enough. I think he should get a couple of points on, and it looks good as well for a couple of updates this week. And I think Taylor May might cop a few updates as well because I think he robbed of a few.
Nice.
Yeah, Billy Kicks. You play him? Have him?
Yeah, of course.
Obviously, you have him, but you play him.
First I pick every week, mate. You know what I mean? I basically put the captain on him all pre-round until I actually make my captain. He's sort of the pre-round captain. Like, he does a lot of the speaking at training and stuff. So that's why I always have the armband on up until
gets the boys up.
Plays. I take it off him when it's game time, just so I don't like to put the pressure on him. But yeah, happy with that 100. Dewey looked pretty good.
The
scored 80. What do you think of Dewey?
He looks good.
I don't know if we can do it.
I like Dewey.
He's an option.
Yeah.
For the Pappy conundrum, like
they
very pottish.
Yeah, but so they versed the Panthers, and so he scored there. Panthers had 8 out. So he versed Panthers B grade team, scored decent enough today, break even or whatever. He's got the Cows next week. Cows will be back to near full complement. So good luck.
Good call.
Is that? Yeah, I think it's up in Queensland. Then you got Suncorp Broncos. So good luck. And then which would be handy. But then the Sharks at Shark Park by the looks of things. And then you got Sydney at home, the Roosters at home, and Dragons. So look, while I liked Dewey last year, and while he could score points against other teams, because generally any other team is better than, so they're generally versus harder teams, come off the bottom of the ladder. But look, the run home, I love Dewey, but I think that might be a next year type setup for me, I think.
Yeah, he'll probably have a larger involvement, hopefully, in playing more games and be their main guy. It seems like he's the preference for 5'8". Jackson Hastings worked out all right for the most in that lock role, I thought, as well. First time playing
he looked pretty handy.
Not too bad.
Got through his tackles, looked handy enough ball playing and stuff, but just, how many points are the Tigers going to score? I guess is my problem. So, yeah.
It's a nice way to squeeze them all in as well and not having to move Brooks to hooker. So I like that.
A different team? Oh, sorry. Yeah.
That's right. So pressing on to the next game of the round, big talking point, Melbourne versus the Raiders. The Storm have lost, I think, maybe 3 or 4 in a row or something.
4 on
crazy.
the trot down there.
Yeah. It's pretty unheard of for them.
Sorry. 4 on the trot down at Amy Park against the Raiders.
Crazy.
So they're pretty happy. So just quietly, just today, it was very handy going all the lines because they gave stupid lines out to everyone. So if you took the Tigers with the line, Raiders the line, Dogs the line, you came off pretty handily. So, yeah.
And only lost the last 3 games. I'll correct myself on that one. So, yeah, they lost to Manly round 16. Then they've lost to Cronulla pretty convincingly in round 17 with some players out. And, yeah, this week was obviously another one for them. So it's unheard of for them to – I'd be hate to play them next week, which is going to be the Bunnies. That's going to be a tough game for Cody and Latrell, and I own them both. So it'd be tough to. I don't know whether you kind of got to play him or
white knuckling it.
Oh, it's tough. I don't know what to do. Yeah, I could see myself playing Latrell, but maybe sitting Cody. But he's been going well, so hard to call. What's your thoughts on Latrell as an option?
Likes some of the. Latrell, just the way he's looking, he looks really fluid with the ball. Like looks really, really sharp. Looks like he's just committed. Yes. More than anything, he looks really in onto everything that he's doing. His like attention to detail looks a hell of a lot better. Looks some of the best that I've seen out of Latrell. Because you can see pockets of Latrell playing really well and his attention to detail and everything like that. But over the 80 minutes at the moment, it looks like he's rather committed to getting the Souths boys across the line this year and giving back to the boys of giving them for him going across the US and everything like that. So, yeah.
Just thought I'd put up that comment. I like that comment.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dean.
I'm with you.
Yes, so look, we will get to those questions pretty quickly. We may not get to all of them because it will otherwise. Your boy's got to get up at 5 a.m. to go to Wollongong for work tomorrow. It's going to be tough to back up tomorrow morning after a big weekend of footy, but we'll see what we can do.
Cam Munster, how'd you find Cam Munster? It looked dandy.
He could have been more dangerous. He could have had a bigger score as a non-oda. 84. I'll sort of go, okay, I'll take that because he's capable of a lot more. But probably someone that is someone I need to find a way to get into my side. But very difficult with the amount of ways I keep blocking myself. And I've got Dylan Brown and Cody Walker there at the moment. It's hard to sort of let go of either one of them. But I think when one of them's Munster's just a standout. So I think I'm going to have to make a tough decision there and find a way to get him in.
Well, it was sort of bittersweet when he put that through and because I own Jerome Hughes, he dropped that ball when he off the fourth tackle reset off the 10 and then put that kick through. Jerome Hughes, butterfingers as he is. And then, So
Pappy obviously Grant was annoying, I'll be fair. I don't own him either. I sold him recently. I've sold nearly everyone that's good in SuperCoach, but he was on like 28, I think, until he scored that try, which was I thought if he had scored like a sub 40 score, it would have felt like an awesome sell. But 68, even when he goes quiet, it's good for Harry.
Yeah. 100%. 96 break even, so coming down around that 600 range. That's handy.
Yeah, so let's talk Pappenhausen. It sucks, man. Like, the guy is awesome. He's busted his knee. We've mentioned it earlier in the show. It's fractured. It's going to be a season-long thing. No more mullet running around. We're just going to have to watch it sitting behind Craig Bellamy for the rest of the year, which is very disappointing. But as we said, it does bring up a lot of options. It's just very painful for people who did captain Pappenhausen this week, just because you can't pick injuries, you know what I mean? And just to have him go down early and hurt you with a 34 when he's capable of a lot more, it's frustrating. But chin up to anyone who has got the captain on him. There's still 7 weeks to go.
And same sort of thing as last week as well. Even when he looked like he pulled up a bit injured, the obstruction for the try and whatever, when a lot of people had him as a V, these sort of things happen.
Last week he looked completely busted up, and that really turned me off wanting to captain or even consider him as an option this week. But also being the fact that I do find that the Raiders do turn up pretty well, and I thought there was some other matchups. But Pappenhausen's Pappenhausen, and for those who did captain him, there wasn't a great deal of later options. So depending on your side, it just made sense to captain Pappenhausen if you didn't jump on the loop of the VC for Manu. I mean, if I would have captained Latrell if he didn't go massive. That's why I left him on the left side and had Pappy on my right. But if I didn't own Latrell, he would have been my next captain option had I not So it's a tough one. Lucky to have dodged it. Thank you, SuperCoach Gods, for looking
Well, I
after us
mean,
on that one.
look, at the end of it, a man that's been injured 3 or 4 times, so had a couple of injury games, or he's been pulled off early, and he's still with a big score, averaging 95 and a half. Throwing the armband against a team that's sitting outside the 8, it's not really that bad a call. And I'm pretty sure they concede a handy amount of points to fullbacks. So, I'm with you there, and you've got to go here as well. In Melbourne, when they've been off the back 2 defeats, look, you can't be too disheartened by making that move. While it didn't work out this week,
also say to people, if you have Captain Pappy and you're really, really down, and I can understand it because I'd be feeling exactly the same when you have that bad week and other people have gone big with a different captain, it really can hurt. Chin up, because as I said, there's 7 weeks more, and there's so much variance this year with the different amount of options we all have with the fullbacks, the halfbacks, the 5/8s, that there's plenty more opportunity for others ahead of you to slip up and have these misfortunes, and you to get more things right than you get wrong going forward. So, it can be hard
give you the hot tip.
Yeah.
Give you the hot tip. I VC'd Pappy last week, and then captain Dylan Brown. So, the 58 or whatever it was in the buy round, when there's plenty of other players that I had on my team, IPAP, including the same game, Latrell Mitchell, these sort of players all going well, Walker and, 100 and odd, very easy for that sort of stuff, in particular weeks. So I did that on a week which you'd expect making an easier decision. So on a week like this, Happy looked red hot. So just, chin up, keep playing.
Yeah, I myself had 2 really poor rounds prior to round 17. Round 15 and 16 were terrible for me. I was about 150 points off the pace, off the average bear. So chin up. There's a long way to go. 7 weeks doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. There's plenty of time to go. Before we move on to the next game, I guess.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Between that chat there, and then I remember, I think on 2 I just got a message saying, "Hey mate, you're still in the count to have a crack," because you're down there going, "Oh, I'm in 30,000 or whatever the heck it was at that stage."
Yeah, no, it was hard to actually believe it, to recover from that sort of ranking at that time. But it is. It's a long journey. SuperCoach, just got to keep your head down and keep going with it, and not worry too much about last week, and know that there's ways you can make up for your misfortunes as well. Before we do move on to the next round, I guess a shout out to Tarpany, who's just been killing it week after week. Don't own him. Really wish I had him. Just getting really out of the sort of value I think I could buy him, but 71 from him. Didn't really sort of have a bigger week as he normally does, I don't think, and still scoring a 71.
I think he's gonna update.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Because usually, his tackle back offload stuff will come through a little bit later on. So I think he's got a little bit to go. But probably mid 80s and early 80s. I'm guessing for Tapney. So well done.
Not that many would have him,
because I never picked him up.
Oh, not Tarpany I'm talking about. I was about to refer to, so there's quite a few with Tarpany, so congratulations to people that do own Tarpany, but not that many people would have Schiller, the next guy I'm about to talk about, with an 80, scored an amazing try, one for the highlight reel, kicking the ball for himself down the sort of touch line, running outside of the field, regathering the ball and grounding it just before it goes dead. So that was awesome for a fairly new
just
player.
Before that, though. How was Adam Elliott? Now, he's been a player that's been quite nice and juicy for myself, and shouts out to the SuperCoach Whisperer a while ago, spruiking that, a couple of backs on the for the Raiders was big minutes generally, and he's been coming off the bench, but big minutes, big work rate, massive, good for the Newcastle Knights next year with Millie Ball heading down there. But he's been outrageous. Just another one like Joe Tapney, and it's just been going sort of a little bit under the radar and scoring extremely well. So if anyone needs replacement in the second row back, don't get what his name's big scores. So
Nice. Now let's move on to the final game of the round, which was another whopping big scoring game. 36-28. The Bunnies topped the Dogs. High score of the round, Latrell Mitchell, sort of not really. I wasn't that sort of impressed by halftime, but I think he was on about 37, and we still thought, geez, that's not too bad of a score considering I don't feel he'd done a great deal, and then sort of really injected himself in the second half. The thing about Latrell, I really was keen on picking him up just for the fact of him sort of bailing out of Origin and wanting to sort of focus on his footy for Bunnies. So I think if you're going to do that, you're probably going to play pretty well if that's what you're going to put your focus into. But again, I thought it might have been a short-term play for myself. But now that I'm moving on Pappenhausen, I don't know whether I'll be able to move him as well. I'm just concerned with the draw he's got coming up. I mean, he's got the Bunnies have the Storm, the Sharks, two with the top defensive sides, Warriors, which is a good one, but then they've got Para and Penrith, followed by the Cowboys. So there's basically 5 games in that chunk. Yeah, and the Roosters. So really, really terrible draw. The thing about Latrell,
to be fair, like Latrell mid, while I like Latrell, and he's more than likely to get sent off in that game, being over passionate.
Yeah, true. He'll have some him and Manu round 2. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, the nostalgia. He'll have
bored,
it.
But yeah, that'll be good.
So yeah, look, I don't know. I'm a bit on the fence about whether I'm probably going to keep him until he lets me down. But the thing is, he has such lesser involvement than players like Tedesco. Tedesco touches the ball so much, whereas Latrell sort of might only have 10 to 12 touches, but when he does touch the ball, it's a pretty big deal and gets involved. But you just need to hope he gets involved all the time, or he can go missing and get you those low 50s, which can be frustrating. But I guess Teddy has them in him as well. What else did you like in this game?
I'll tell you what, Timmy, I brought Little Mitchell when I was watching the Countdown show on that the buy round, because when you're throwing up the little clip of that little document up, and he was just that focused, and he was just beeline straight for playing well. That was the thing that sold me there. You get a motivated Latrell Mitchell. Not too many other players in the NRL that you wouldn't want to tackle or take on a motivated week. And every week, if their back's against the wall and they're chasing the top 8, don't mind having a goal kick in Latrell Mitchell in the team. It'll be interesting coming up.
Great to see him playing good footy, especially when we've got the likes of, other stars in our game that are now missing with the likes of Turbo, Pappenhausen. So other gun fullbacks stepping up and keeping the NRL exciting, I guess. Alex Johnson with another hat trick. Happy days for owners. 92, you'd be stoked with that. Cody Walker, 79. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. But Cody's one I'm really on the chopping block for me at the moment. I think it's hard to sell because his last 2 stores are all right, and he's looking like he's playing better footy with Latrell Mitchell in the side, because it just takes a lot of attention.
This is just Cody things, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
this is just Cody things, though. Eh? He just does this. Like, he'll go a couple of weeks, mediocre scores, and you're like, fuck, I'm going to get rid of Cody. Cody Walker just comes out and does Cody Walker things, and he'll bang out 2 tries, 3 try assists, 100, and you're like, God damn, Cody Walker, it's nice to own him. And then he goes, oh, how's a 40? And then, he's just that typical sort of thing. Because I remember a couple of years ago, what was it, when they versed the Roosters and he scored 180 or whatever he scored. And one of my mates was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to bring in Cody Walker. And the Roosters were in red hot form. And I was like, nah, why are you bringing in Cody Walker? And then he brings him in, a smart ass, and then bangs out 180 180 or 190, and I think he won Joe Nadav the cup. So he's just that sort of player. He's very unpredictable, hard
If
to
the Bunnies
read.
are playing well, the forwards are going forward, and they allow Cody to have his space and time to do his thing, he's going to have those few attacking plays a game. So even if it is against the big sides, because even when the Rabbitohs are playing, a top 4 side, they're still likely to score probably 2 tries, maybe 3 even, and he's probably going to have his hand in at least 2 of those 3 tries. So more often than not. So it's a tough decision for people who do own him. I don't think he's probably a great buy for people who are looking at him maybe
I
as an
wouldn't
option.
buy him. I wouldn't buy him, but if you have him,
I'm unsure
yeah,
whether he's a
I wouldn't
hold or
buy
a
him.
sell.
But if
He's
you have
definitely
him,
not a buy, but I'm not sure whether he's a hold or a sell. I've really got to sit at the shrine for a
but
while
that's
on
the
that
hard
one.
part with me.
So we'll see what
It
happens.
might
Let's
be,
get to see.
you and me sitting down. You and me sitting down with a Ouija board, and we'll figure out what happens.
Yeah, for sure. I have to go see the clairvoyant this year and see if she can give me some final tips for the round for the closing end of the season. Before we just do round out the round that was, I guess there's a few other people we should just touch on that are sort of commonly owned. Kolomatangi 68, which you'll take, and not a massive game for him. TPJ pretty quiet with a 37. I don't think he's been back that much. I think he's only just been returning recently, so I'm not too sure. I didn't have too much of an eye on him.
Yeah, this week.
Didn't really stand out much, but someone that is worth the mention is Matty Burton. He just seems to be going under the radar and scoring pretty well as well. Just tough option to take in a weak doggies side. No love for Matt Burton.
I think they've got a tough run, and while I like Matt Burton, and look, he's probably going to be he'll be an extreme pod because the majority have Brown, Walker, or Munster, or like a Mam or a Scotty Drinkwater at this stage. So if you're looking to climb ranks and you really want to throw a Hail Mary, what's their remaining draw looking like? They got the Gold Coast next week, then the Knights, then the Cowboys, Warriors, Para, Sharks, Manly. Look, so there are a couple of games, but he's pretty much going to be a stop-start. So I don't mind him for Gold Coast. If you could sit him for the Cowboys game and then play him for the Warriors and Para game. And then you probably try and shift for someone else. Yeah, 100%. So look, if you need something in those back end, and if it's something in those head-to-head finals, and you're early on semi-finals, quarterfinals, that thing, handy enough, it's gonna happen. But I won't be looking for overall anyway.
Yeah, it seems like the doggies are playing much more attacking footy now that they don't have Barrett coaching them. So yeah, it could be more of an option than what he was previously too.
Wasn't he the attacking coach of Penrith Panthers? So
yeah, he was the attacking coach of them, but I feel like he had them playing more of a defensive style than Potter's allowed them to sort of play a more sort of free range style of footy. But yeah. All right, let's get on to some questions because there are quite a few. We probably won't get to them all. Let's. I've got one for you here. Okay, so the question for you is, what's your thoughts on, up on the screen here, thoughts on Paps to Mam to Teddy to Val Holmes next week? This is from Anthony.
I like that. Yeah, really like that.
Paps and Mam to Teddy and Mam.
Yeah. Really like that because Val Holmes has been on fire. He looks really good. Looks good out of Origin. Cowboys playing good attacking footy. Goal kicking for the Cows. The Cows got a handy run home. Really like that. Fucking Roosters look on fire. They need to chase points because they're also for and against. They need to lift that. So they're going to have to come out and slay some teams coming up. And you better believe that Teddy will be a part of that. especially as well for Teddy. If you find that Kiri is going to be in the halves, Teddy will have a lot more ball than what will for us Manu owners. It'd be extremely good for everyone. Like as a Teddy owner, if Kiri comes back in the halves, which is back to full contract or contact training, so he might be in halves as good as this week. So,
yeah, let's hope he does get back on the field. It'll be good to have him back. Next question, somewhat of a similar question. It mentions the likes of Val Holmes. Who do you think is the most urgent trade, Holmes, Teddy, or DCE? What's your 1, 2, 3 of most? One being the best, 3 being the weaker of the 3.
oh, my lord. You
For
want to run the
me,
ball
Teddy,
up on this one or what?
DCE stand out. Teddy and
Then
DCE are
Holmes,
like bloody. Yeah, and I'd probably say
the
Teddy.
1-2 in that is tough.
Yeah, I'd probably say Teddy 1, DCE 2, and Holmes as the third option. But
So
depending on your
the only
side,
reason I'd say DCA is the one would be if Manu stays at 5'8" for the rest of the year. If he goes back to center, then 10-1, and DCE. So yeah, if Kiri comes in next week, then yep, I'd pull the dice on Teddy as your number 1. But if not, and he stays there for the rest of the year, I'd be running DCE because he'll see less ball as Manu was a 5'8". So, and then Holmes. I like Holmes in the centers, but yeah, that's how I'd run it.
All right, I'm going to try to pronounce this fella's name. We have got Eparima Terrell.
Jesus.
I'm sorry if I've really hammered that and
Terui?
made a meal of it. I'm sure I have. I think Brad has as well. But let's see if we can answer your question.
Eparemi Turui. I'm going that confidently.
Nice. We've banged that out. I'm pretty confident on Trell's a better option than Dewey. Dewey's a bigger pod.
Yeah, but see, this is the problem because next question is Frizz or D for feeder, right? So you're looking for second rowers. I'd go then you go on a center and a fullback. If you needed to pick up, so depending on what your fullbacks are, if you've got a Hines and a Teddy, leave your fullbacks alone. But if you've just got Ryan Pappenhausen that's gone down, then yeah, I like Trell, but I wouldn't. I'd be looking for a Teddy or a Hines, and go on a pod. Yeah, so that's where it gets tough. What do you reckon, Tim? Because that's a center and a fullback.
I really think, for me, yeah, you think like the names you mentioned. If he doesn't own Teddy or Hines, they're probably really big shouts as well. Maybe even more important than Trell, just because of the draw. And yeah, Fafita looks like it could be a good thing. Hopefully, he keeps on the field for owners and people looking to buy him. Let's move on to the next question or comment, because it's just sort of sent alarm bells off for me. Don't like it. Let's bring it up. It's not good news. Well, it's good news for this bloke. The guy currently ranked in 54th overall, scored 1,700 this week before updates.
Hopefully that's the AFL point scoring.
I reckon it'd be that. I remember I had 2 rounds in the 1,700s last week and last year, and they were I was both in the top 10 of the rounds. I didn't get the biscuits for the $1,000 for the top scorer, but it was pretty close. Gong. But I reckon, yeah, if he's got 1,700 and he's in 54th, then wow, he's going to be really shooting up. That's crazy. Well done to him, and thank you for that information.
100%.
Added a little bit of stress
Congratulations
to
that
tonight's sleep. We have been going for an hour and 4 minutes. Let's go for an hour and wrap it up at an hour and 15. We'll go for another 9 minutes and try squeeze in as many questions as we can.
Rapid fire them off.
Okay, so let's see. I'm scrolling through. Some of them are just sort of people shouting out their scores, which are pretty awesome, around the 1,300s, which are great scores. A few people having a
just
go
a
at
quick
the
question,
internet
Timmy.
connection. Yo,
Quick
shoot.
question, Timmy. Does Jake own James Tedesco?
Currently, James Tedesco
Doesn't.
is. I'm not too sure. I don't think he does own him. No.
Well,
But
give him
I
on
don't own him
Wednesday.
either.
Ask him.
Yeah, look.
Yeah, no, neither do I.
But we're
But,
going to go
you
easy
know,
on Jake. He had a tough round, the poor bugger. He's a Paps captainer, so you have to feel for him.
yeah. He's good
Got
value.
someone spamming, writing a lot of some sort of naked HD. I don't know what that is in the comments, but we'll just scroll past that.
Beauty,
Not
Timmy,
worried,
you got a date?
DCE. Someone, okay, here's a question for you. Let's see if it
Mhm.
pops up on screen. It'd be handy. It's from Anthony, our boy, the Tigers fan. Not worried, DCE loses upside if Garrett kicks. So was Garrett just not kicking because of that tweak last week?
The hip. But
Mm.
sorry, hang on. Did he kick it all?
He had the last kick of the game, I think, because DCE was pulled off for Schuster. Yeah, so but
yeah,
it looked like he's good enough to kick. It seems like why wasn't he kicking the whole time? But maybe he just didn't want him. He preferred not to be kicking him from the sideline. It was in front. Hopefully, for me as a Garrick owner,
he wasn't kicking. He wasn't kicking last year, and he ran home with 108 average. So I'm pretty happy to back him in because his lowest score, I think, his lowest score like 60. So 50. Nah, I'm not really too worried if he loses that kicking because one of the most consistent halves out there and one that definitely has a ceiling. And he still hasn't. What I find with Cherry Evans each year. He usually has a game where he'll score 2 or 3 tries and he'll bang out a 160, 180 type score, and he still hasn't done that yet. He's only cracked just the 100 mark. So yeah, I think he's got a couple of tons and a big one coming up. So no, I'm not too concerned.
It's a bit of an interesting feel. Last year, I got him on him because he'd lost the Origin and was getting a lot of criticism, and I thought he'd bounce back from that criticism and do well. This year, he was a big hand in helping the Queenslanders win the Origin. So I wonder how that plays into it. He's on a bit of a high, and maybe he wants to continue that form. Or I don't know.
Still trying to put to bed. Still trying to put to bed the Australian jersey type thing. So I think that might still be the motivator coming into the end of the year. Can you take that Eagles team without Tommy False and go deep?
Yeah, it's a good call. All right. If you had, here we go. Next question from Michael Carver. If you had to miss out on Munster or Hines, which one? Like my gut straight away when I see the two names says I'd probably prefer to miss out on Hines. And I'd prefer to have Munster.
We're both opposite.
That's just my first thought. But
I would have said Munster.
I say that that's my first thought, but when I think I would look into it a lot deeper, I think the fact that Hines kicks goals, just that he's the main player at their club, whereas Munster's still sort of sharing a lot of good ball between Jerome Hughes. Now that Pappy's out, though, maybe Munster takes on more of a role than he normally would and a lot more touches. So, yeah, it's hard to split them. I'd probably say if you could have both, but it's not always that simple. Maybe get the draw out and have a closer look at that one and sort of.
So the Sharks will have Panthers, Rabbits, St. George, Tigers, Manly, Dogs, Newcastle. So look, while I love Munster, I think Hines will have the biggest, and I think he's got the teams that he'll come up against that he can have that ceiling against. While the 5'8", silky Matty Moylan has been playing out of his skin. There's nothing to say that he might not go down. And That's what's up. Hopefully not, but he seems a little bit more injury prone. And Munster also, if you only have the one trade and you had to pick between the two, he's already got the 8 shoulder issues, and that's so I would pick the healthier Hines over Munster. Higher ceiling, better opponents, no injury, no real perceived injury risk at the moment. Yeah.
Nice. I like you've broken down quite a few pros and cons for Michael there. Thank you very much. Another question about, I guess it's kind of a hard for us to call. We've only seen a few ranks in our sort of scores in our head-to-head leagues, but a 1465 sitting at 2008. You think you'd see some green arrows there?
I think he's got green. Yeah, I think he's got green.
Think that first number in your score will no longer be a 2, it might be a 1. So happy days there, man. Maybe, yeah. I'd imagine there'd be a lot of people.
Hopefully knock off a 0. Hopefully come into the.
I'm going to predict. My prediction for this gentleman here. I am going to say, let us know in the comments on Monday if we've got close. But I'm going to guess from 208 with that score, you've got yourself into 1200th. I don't know. I reckon there's a few people. Not everyone's in the 1400s.
1362.
1362, and I'm saying flat 1200. So we'll see who's close to that. All right. We'll have one more question before we wrap her up. Here we go, and it is from Jared Watson.
Oof.
Who are your 5-8 combos for the run home? I'm thinking Munster and Drinky is the go. What's your thoughts?
Like Munster and Drinky.
Jared likes Munster and Drinky, and I think he could be pretty close. I don't mind Drinky. Really like I think I've had him previously. I sold him recently. A lot of my players are on the audition stage at the moment, trying to find their way back into the side. Drinky's got a good couple of games, but they're just sometimes he's a bit of a nervous watch. He can be on like 9 points at halftime and it only has like 2 big attacking plays and then manages to get you that sort of 70, 80 score, which you'll take. And I just don't know that he's got the consistency in him as much as some of the other guys. So I still don't know whether it's Munster and Drinky or if it's Munster and
Drinky won't have the consistency. Well, Drinky won't have the consistency, but he's certainly got the. So if you were comparing, say, a Drinky to a Dylan Brown, Drinky's got, I guess, perceived higher ceiling,
more upside. You reckon?
A lower floor. Yeah, I think so. Dylan Brown will, like 40s odd minimum, and bang out the ton where it's available. Munster looks fucking nasty to come home. He looks real good. He looks handy enough, but the other one that he's missing out on there, which I'm still unsure about, and because my halves at the moment are like all 5/8s anyway, are Brown and Walker. So that's the headache, I guess, that I have. Yeah, so that's a headache we've got anyway, because Walker's been looking a hell of a lot better now that Latrell's back. So, it's
hard to sell a guy who's going well. Yeah, it's tough. But sometimes, I guess, if you're really feeling that the right move is to move someone on and trusting the draw and stuff, then you just need to do that. But then there's not long left. When I say there's not long left, I mean, there's 7 weeks to go. I mean, we don't have many trades left, and I feel like there's going to be something really important before we wrap up the show, and I think that should be mentioned. Back end. Yeah, it's my boss. Oh, well, he's my boss. I shouldn't have done the fingers. My day job boss sort of mentioned to me that you might want to wear your mask a bit more at work. Just because there's the variants going around, these new variants. And that really made me nervous in the back end, like with 7 weeks to go. If COVID kicks back in and we're dropping, it'd be the worst time. And I can feel it's going to happen. I hate to call it. I predict it didn't happen now, some injury going down, but I'm going to call COVID's going to cause absolute havoc in the last sort of
carnage
sort of 5-6 weeks. So keep an eye out
Well,
for
I think
that.
I
Try
had
to
it.
keep a
I had
couple
it.
of trades up your sleeve.
I had it about 2 weeks ago, and majority of my friends and sort of family and whatever have generally had it probably in about the last month. And yeah, it sort of seems to be like just the running joke at the moment with our friends is sort of someone comes out of isolation, then the next one goes in, and then the next one goes in, and the next one goes in. It seems to be a rolling sort of a thing at the moment. But
Passing the baton.
yeah, so I think it's going to be handy enough, and I think. Yeah, 100%. So I think these sort of, if you're looking at any sort of luxury trades between now and then, if you're looking at sort of, oh, this player's got a nice enough draw, but I've got someone that probably score about 60 odd to the end of the year, I wouldn't be moving too hastily for someone that will score 70, 75. I would just be sitting on a handful of trades just for the end here and just bringing in those key, crucial couple of people that you might have traded out over Origin, and then yeah.
Good information. We will wrap it up. It has got to that hour and 15-minute mark, on a bit longer than we expected. We both like to have a yarn. We hope you have had a big week for round 18. Enjoy the week ahead. We've got obviously 7 weeks to go. So big decisions ahead with Pappy going down. Trust your gut on that one. And yeah, good luck, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Apologies if the connection,
Good luck, everybody.
There was a bit of issues. And thanks very much for jumping on, Brad. It was awesome for you to join us again this year.
Cheers, mate. Hopefully go back to back, and I'll sit 11th again, just slide in like I did last year. That'd be handy.
Nice one. What's your team name if people want to add you as a rivalry? It's the bottom dollar rookie still?
This year, hang on, sorry. Nah, we got sacked last year. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. 11th wasn't
weird
good
stuff
enough.
happened at the end of the season. The Christmas parties. Yeah. Elite Throbbery will be where we are.
Elite Robbery? Did you say robbery?
Nah, Elite Throb. Nah, with a T.
Throbbery.
With a T. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a cool name. I like that.
Only elite throbbers allowed.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not too sure what it's. I think I've got the gist of what it's about, but yeah, you might have to give me a bit more specifics on that.
Just looking for hot boys, and that's all we're after.
The throbbers.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Yeah,
all right, guys.
Elite throbbery.
We'll keep jibber jabbering all night if you let us. But thanks for tuning in, guys. Enjoy the week ahead, and good night.
See you, boys.